My name is Liam Anderson. I was 28 years old, and for the first time in my life, I realized that being needed was not the same as being loved. That lesson came on my birthday. I woke up that morning expecting nothing huge. I wasn't the kind of person who needed expensive gifts or a surprise party. After 7 years of marriage, I had learned not to expect too much. I only wanted one thing: to feel like someone remembered. My wife, Mia, used to be that person. She was the girl who once waited outside my college library with coffee because I forgot to eat dinner. She was the woman who promised me we would always choose each other. But somewhere along the way, things changed. I became the person who fixed everything, the person who handled bills, the person who remembered appointments, the person who stayed late at work because Mia needed support. And somehow I became the person nobody noticed. That morning, I walked into the kitchen and saw Mia sitting at the table. There was no smile, no birthday wish, no small gift, just a white envelope placed in front of her. I stopped walking. Mia. She looked up. Liam. Sit down. Something in her voice made my stomach tighten. I pulled out the chair. What is this? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she pushed the envelope toward me. I think we need to end this. For a few seconds, I honestly thought I heard her wrong. End. What? Our marriage? The words landed harder than I expected. I stared at the envelope. Then I looked at her. Today, Mia avoided my eyes. I didn't want to wait anymore. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was unbelievable. My birthday is today. I know. You know. Yes. Her answer was calm. Too calm. I just don't think pretending everything is okay makes sense anymore. I picked up the envelope, but didn't open it. Is there someone else? The silence answered before she did. Mia looked away. That was enough. I felt something inside me go quiet. Not anger, not sadness, just exhaustion. How long? Liam, how long have you been thinking about leaving? She sighed. A long time. A long time. That phrase hurt more than anything else, because while she was planning her exit, I was still trying to save something she had already abandoned. I see. She looked surprised. That's it. I looked at her. What do you want me to say? I thought you would be angry. I am. Then why are you acting like this? Because I had spent years trying to make someone happy who had already decided I wasn't enough. But I didn't say that. I just stood up. Happy birthday to me, I guess. For the first time, Mia looked uncomfortable. Liam, I didn't mean to hurt you. I smiled slightly. That's the problem. What? You didn't mean to? I grabbed my jacket. People usually hurt the ones they don't think they can lose. I left before she could answer. 3 weeks later, I was no longer married. The divorce was simple. No dramatic fights. No revenge. No begging. Mia got what she wanted. And I got something I didn't realize I needed: a chance to start over. I moved into a small apartment and focused on work. I had spent years working as a strategy analyst at Sterling Dynamics, one of the fastest growing technology companies in Seattle. I wasn't famous. I wasn't rich. I wasn't someone people talked about. But I knew my job and I knew how to solve problems. That was probably why Elena Sterling noticed me. Everyone in the company knew her name. Elena Sterling, the 30-year-old CEO who built Bennett Technologies from a small startup into a billion-dollar company. People called her the Ice Queen. She was brilliant, direct, impossible to impress. Employees were terrified of making mistakes around her. I had only spoken to her twice before. The first time was when I presented a market analysis She looked at my report for 5 minutes. Then she said, "Everyone else gave me numbers. You gave me a solution." That was the closest thing to a compliment I had ever received from her. The second time was after a failed project meeting. The entire executive team was blaming each other. Elena walked out. Then she stopped beside me. "Liam." "Yes, Miss Bennett. Why didn't you speak?" I was surprised. I didn't think my opinion mattered. She stared at me. For a moment, her expression changed. "Who made you think that?" I didn't answer. Because I didn't know how to explain that sometimes people slowly convince you that your voice isn't important. She walked away. But I noticed something. She looked bothered. A few days later, I received an email. The sender shocked me. Elena Sterling. The message was short. "I want you on my new project. Team. Report to my office Monday morning." I read it 3 times. The woman who had hundreds of employees wanted me personally on her team. I didn't understand why. But I would soon find out. Elena Sterling wasn't looking for another employee. She was looking for the one person who never tried to impress her. The one person who saw her as a person. And I had no idea that the coldest woman in the company would become the first person in years to make me feel chosen. I arrived at Elena Sterling's office on Monday morning, exactly 10 minutes early. That was something I had always done. Not because I wanted to impress anyone, because I believed if someone trusted me with a responsibility, I should respect that trust. I knocked on the door. "Come in." Her voice was calm, controlled. I stepped inside. Elena was sitting behind her desk, reading through several documents. She didn't look up immediately. "Liam Anderson." "Yes, Miss Bennett." She finally raised her eyes. "You're early. I was told to report at 9 o'clock, it's 8:50. I prefer being prepared." For a second, I thought I saw the smallest hint of a smile. Almost impossible to notice. Almost. "Sit down." I took the chair across from her. She pushed a folder toward me. "This is Project Atlas." I opened it. The project was massive. A new technology platform that could change the direction of the company. But I noticed something immediately. "There's a problem." Elena leaned back. "I know. You already knew." "Yes. Then why give it to me?" Her answer surprised me. "Because everyone else keeps telling me what I want to hear." I looked at her. "And you think I want?" "I know you won't." That caught me off guard. "Why?" Elena looked at the papers on the table. "Because during the last meeting, everyone was trying to protect their position." She paused. "You were the only person looking at the numbers." I didn't know what to say. Most people noticed my results. Very few noticed how I worked. Elena continued. "You found 3 risks nobody else mentioned." I was just doing my job. "No." Her voice became slightly firmer. "You were doing more than your job." I looked away. That sentence felt strange. Not because it was complicated. Because I couldn't remember the last time someone said something like that to me. The first few weeks working with Elena were different from anything I expected. She was still intimidating. She still walked into meetings and made executives nervous. She still expected perfection. But I started seeing things others didn't. Elena wasn't cold because she didn't care. She was cold because she had spent years believing nobody else could carry the weight with her. One night, we were the last 2 people still working. I was reviewing the final numbers when I noticed Elena hadn't moved from her computer for almost 3 hours. "You should take a break." She looked up. "Is that an order?" "No." "Good." She returned to her screen. "Because nobody orders me around." I smiled. I noticed. That made her stop. You're smiling. Am I not allowed? Most people are too nervous to smile around me. Maybe they're nervous because they think you're not human. Elena raised an eyebrow. And what do you think? I looked at her. I think you're human. For some reason, that answer seemed to affect her. She looked away first. That's a dangerous assumption. Liam. Why? Because people get disappointed when they discover the truth. I studied her expression. It was the first time I saw something behind the perfect CEO image. A little loneliness. A little exhaustion. You know, I said, you don't always have to be the strongest person in the room. She looked at me. You think I'm weak? No. I shook my head. I think you're tired. Silence filled the office. I wondered if I had crossed a line. Then, Elena quietly said, everyone wants something from me. Her voice was lower than usual. My money, my company, my connections. She looked at me. But you're the first person who asked if I was okay. I didn't know how to respond. So I simply said, someone should. For a moment, Elena just looked at me like she was trying to understand something. Then her phone rang. The moment disappeared. A month later, Project Atlas faced its biggest crisis. A competitor leaked information about our upcoming launch. The board immediately demanded answers. The executives started blaming each other. Elena called an emergency meeting. Everyone was tense. One director pointed at my department. This happened because your team failed to secure the data. I looked at the report in front of me. Something was wrong. The accusation was too convenient. I stood up. That's not what happened. The room became quiet. The director looked annoyed. Excuse me. The leak didn't come from my team. He frowned. You're accusing someone else? No. I looked at Elena. I'm saying, someone wants us to believe the wrong person caused this. Everyone started talking. Elena raised her hand. The room went silent. Liam. I looked at her. Can you prove it? I nodded. Yes. For the next 20 minutes, I explained every detail. The timeline. The access records. The false information planted inside the leak. When I finished, nobody spoke. Elena looked around the room. Then she said, Liam is right. The director immediately protested. But no. Elena's voice was sharp. This company almost punished the wrong person because nobody bothered to look deeper. Her eyes moved to me except him. After the meeting ended, I packed my laptop. I expected Elena to leave first. Instead, she stopped beside me. Liam. Yes. Thank you. I smiled. You're welcome. She hesitated. Then she said something I never expected from her. I'm glad you're here. Those words were simple, but they stayed with me, because after my divorce, I had started believing something dangerous. That maybe I was easy to replace. That maybe my absence wouldn't matter. But Elena Sterling was slowly proving me wrong. And I didn't realize it yet. The woman who everyone thought had no feelings was becoming the person who cared about mine the most. I used to think birthdays stopped matching when you became an adult. That was what I told myself after my divorce. Birthdays were just another day. Another number on the calendar. Another reminder that some people stayed and some people left. But Elena Sterling had a completely different idea. I found that out 3 months after joining her team. It was a normal Monday morning. At least I thought it was. I walked into the office, carrying my coffee, and immediately noticed something strange. People were looking at me, not in a bad way. Almost like they knew something I didn't. I looked at my coworker Lucas. What? He smiled. Nothing. That's never a good answer. He laughed. You really don't. Know what? Before Lucas could respond, Elena's assistant, Emma, walked toward me. Liam, Miss Bennet wants to see you. I frowned. Did I make a mistake? Emma shook her head. No. She smiled. She just wants to talk. That answer somehow made me more nervous. I walked into Elena's office. She was standing by the window holding a small box. When she turned around, her expression was serious. For a second, I thought something was wrong. Then she said, "Happy birthday." I froze. What? Elena looked confused. Your birthday? I stared at her. How did you know? She placed the box on the desk. Your employee profile. I laughed softly. That's not exactly a romantic way to remember someone's birthday. The moment I said it, I regretted it because Elena Bennet was not someone people joked with, but instead of getting annoyed, she tilted her head. Romantic. I quickly shook my head. I didn't mean. A small smile appeared on her face. Relax. Liam. That was the first time I saw her smile completely. Not a polite business expression. A real smile. And somehow it made her look completely different. I got you something. You didn't have to. No. Her answer was immediate. But I wanted to. I opened the box. Inside was a simple watch. Not flashy. Not expensive looking. Just something that fit me. I looked at it carefully. This is beautiful. I noticed you always check the time using your phone. I looked up. You noticed that? Yes. Why? Elena looked surprised by the question. Because I pay attention. Those 4 words hit harder than she probably realized. Because my entire marriage had ended because someone stopped paying attention. I closed the box. Thank you. Elena sat down. Liam. Yeah. I heard about your birthday last year. My expression changed. What do you mean? She hesitated. Your divorce papers. I looked away. I didn't know that was company gossip. It wasn't. She paused. I asked. That surprised me. Why? Elena was quiet for a moment. Then she said, because I wanted to understand you. I looked at her. Understand me? Yes. She folded her hands. When you joined my team, everyone told me you were reliable. She paused. But nobody said you were unhappy. I didn't know what to say because she was right. I was good at hiding things. I had spent years convincing everyone I was fine. That evening, I thought the birthday surprises were over. I was wrong. At 7 p.m., I received a message from Elena. Are you home? I stared at the screen. The CEO of a billion-dollar company was texting me. I typed back. Yes. Why? A few seconds later. Open your door. I froze. I walked to my apartment entrance. When I opened the door, Elena Sterling was standing there. I honestly thought I was imagining things. She was holding a small bag. Miss Bennet. She looked slightly uncomfortable. That was strange. The woman who could control an entire boardroom looked nervous standing outside my apartment. I brought dinner. I blinked. You came to my apartment? Yes. At night? Yes. Why? She looked almost frustrated. Liam. Yeah. Do I need a better reason than wanting to spend time with you? I didn't answer. Because I wasn't expecting that. Elena walked inside. I know you probably don't celebrate your birthday anymore. I looked down. That obvious to me. She opened the bag. I asked Emma what kind of food you like. You asked your assistant. Yes. And she knew. Elena looked at me. She said something interesting. What? She said. You always remember everyone else's preferences. She paused. But nobody remembers yours. The room became quiet. I didn't realize how much those words affected me until that moment because they were true. I had spent years remembering MIA's favorite coffee, her favorite restaurant, her important dates. But when my birthday came, she forgot. Elena placed the food on the table. Liam. I looked at her. You shouldn't have spent years making yourself smaller just because someone failed to appreciate you. I swallowed. You say things like, you know me. I'm trying to. That answer stayed with me. Elena Sterling wasn't trying to fix me. She wasn't trying to replace my past. She was simply showing me what it felt like when someone cared. The next day at work, something happened. Mia called me. I almost didn't answer, but I did. Hello. There was silence. Then her voice. Liam. Yeah. I heard about your new position. I leaned back. Okay. You're working directly with Elena Sterling now. Yes. Another pause. She's impressive. She is. MIA's voice changed. You seem different. I frowned. What does that mean? You sound happier. I looked at the office window, at the people walking around, at the life I was slowly rebuilding. I think I finally remembered what it feels like to be valued. Silence. Then Mia quietly said, I didn't know you felt that way. I smiled. Sadly, that was the problem. After the call ended, I sat there for a long time. I realized something. My marriage didn't end because I wasn't enough. It ended because I was giving my best to someone who had already stopped seeing it. And now, for the first time in years, someone was looking directly at me. Not at what I could provide. Not at what I could fix. Just me. And that someone was the woman everyone called the Ice Queen. Elena Sterling. After my birthday, something between Elena and me changed. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. It was something quieter. Something I almost missed before. Elena Sterling was my CEO. The woman who walked into a room and made everyone sit straighter. The woman who could end an argument with one sentence. But slowly, she became something else. She became the person who asked if I had eaten lunch. The person who noticed when I stayed late. The person who remembered small details nobody else cared about. And the strangest part was she never made me feel like she was doing me a favor. That was what made her different. One Friday afternoon, I was finishing a report when Elena appeared beside my desk. Liam. I looked up. Yes. Are you free tonight? The question surprised me. Not because Elena asked. Because Elena never asked. She usually told people schedules. I think so. Good. She handed me an envelope. I looked at it. What is this? A dinner invitation? I raised an eyebrow. From you? Yes. I smiled. That sounds less like an invitation and more like an order. For a second, I thought I had gone too far. Then Elena actually laughed. A real laugh. You're becoming brave. Maybe I'm just getting used to you. She looked at me for a moment. Then quietly said, I like that. I don't know why those words affected me. Maybe because I had spent years being careful. Careful not to upset people. Careful not to ask for too much. Careful not to be a burden. But with Elena, I didn't feel like I had to disappear. That night, Elena took me to a small restaurant. Not one of those expensive places where executives made business deals. Just a quiet place with good food. I noticed immediately. This isn't what I expected. Elena looked at me. What did you expect? Somewhere with a 10-page menu and a waiter who knows your entire biography. She smiled. I don't always want people treating me like a CEO. I looked at her. Then why do you let them? Her smile faded slightly because I had asked a serious question. Because it's easier. Easier? Yes. She looked down at her Glass. When people are afraid of you, they don't disappoint you. That answer stayed with me because I understood it. Different reasons, same feeling. After my divorce, I had also built walls. Not because I didn't want people close, because I didn't want to feel that kind of pain again. Elena. She looked up. You know you don't have to be untouchable all the time, right? She gave a small smile. You say that like it's easy. It isn't. Then how do you do it? I thought about it. I don't. That surprised her. What? I'm still learning. For the first time, I saw Elena relax. Not as a CEO. Not as a billionaire. Just as a woman. A few days later, the company hosted an executive event. It was supposed to be a simple networking night, but something unexpected happened. Mia appeared. I hadn't seen her since the divorce. She approached me while I was talking with some colleagues. Liam. I turned around. Mia. Her expression changed when she saw me. Not because I looked different, because I was different. I wasn't the man waiting for her approval anymore. I wanted to talk. I nodded. Okay. She glanced around. You've changed. I guess. I have. You never used to dress like this. I looked at my suit. What does that mean? She quickly shook her head. Nothing. But I knew what she meant. Before I dressed for convenience. Now I dressed like someone who believed he belonged. Mia lowered her voice. I heard Elena Sterling trust you. She does. That's a big deal. Yes. She hesitated. Liam. I waited. I think maybe I made a mistake. I wasn't expecting that. Not because I never imagined hearing it. Because I realized I didn't need to hear it anymore. Mia. She looked at me. Sorry. I nodded. I believe you. Her eyes softened. Then maybe we can. No. The word came out calmly. Not angrily. Not cruelly. Just honestly. She froze. No. I forgave you. Then why? Because forgiveness doesn't mean going back. Mia stared at me. You really moved on. I looked past her. And that was when I saw Elena. She was standing a short distance away. Watching. Not angry. Not jealous. Just quietly waiting. I turned back to Mia. Yes. I did. Later that night, Elena and I walked outside. For several minutes. Neither of us spoke. Finally, Elena said, she hurt you. I looked at her. Yeah. And you still treated her kindly. I shrugged. I don't want to become someone I don't respect. Elena looked at me. That's rare. What is someone who gets hurt and still stays gentle? I smiled slightly. Is that a compliment from Elena Sterling? She looked away. Maybe. I laughed and then something happened. Elena stopped walking. I turned around. What? She looked nervous. Actually nervous. Liam. Yeah. I need to tell you something. I waited. She took a breath. I don't think I see you as just my employee anymore. My heartbeat changed because I knew what she meant. But I also knew what I had been through. Elena. I know. She interrupted softly. I know your divorce was recent. She looked at me seriously. And I'm not asking you to forget your past. A pause. I just want you to know. She stepped closer. I see you. Those 3 words were simple. But coming from her, they meant everything because the woman everyone thought couldn't feel anything was the first person who made me feel impossible to ignore. And I didn't know it yet. But that night was only the beginning because Elena Sterling was about to do something no one expected. The Ice Queen was about to chase someone. And that someone was me. After Elena said those words, nothing between us felt the same. I see you 4 simple words. But they stayed in my mind. 4 days. Because for years, I had been surrounded by people who saw what I could do. My ex-wife saw the husband who paid bills, solved problems, and always showed up. My co-workers saw the person who could fix difficult situations. My bosses saw the employee who never failed. But Elena saw Liam, the person behind everything. And that scared me because I knew what it felt like to lose someone after letting them get close. I tried to keep things normal. At least I tried. I still worked hard. I still treated Elena professionally. I still called her Ms. Bennett during meetings. But Elena noticed everything. She noticed when I avoided eye contact. She noticed when I changed the subject whenever our conversations became personal. And one afternoon, she finally stopped me. Liam. I turned around. Yes. Why are you avoiding me? The question was so direct that I almost laughed. I'm not. She crossed her arms. You are. I'm just busy. No. Her voice softened. You're afraid. I looked at her. That hit too close. Elena, you think if you let someone get close again, they'll hurt you? I stayed silent because she was right. Elena walked closer. Do you think I'm going to become another person who makes you feel invisible? No. Then what is it? I looked down. I don't know how to do this. Her expression changed. Do what? Trust someone again. For a moment, Elena said nothing. Then she quietly replied, Neither do I. That surprised me. You? She smiled slightly. Liam, do you really think I became this way because I was naturally cold? I didn't answer. She looked away. I learned a long time ago that depending on people was dangerous. The woman who controlled an entire company was admitting she was afraid. That was the moment I realized something. Elena Sterling wasn't emotionless. She was just someone who had been protecting herself for too long. A week later, something happened that changed how I saw her. We had an important client meeting. One of our biggest investors was visiting. Everyone expected Elena to handle everything. She always did. But halfway through the presentation, the client challenged one of our decisions. This strategy is too risky. The room became tense. One executive immediately blamed the research department. Another blamed the timeline. Everyone was trying to protect themselves. I looked at Elena. She didn't say anything. She was watching, waiting. Then she looked at me. Liam. Everyone turned. I stood up. I think the concern is valid. The executives looked shocked. I continued. But the risk isn't the strategy itself. I explained the numbers, the market behavior, the long-term advantage. When I finished, the client looked at Elena. Is he always this honest? Before I could answer, Elena said, Yes. She didn't hesitate. And that's why he's here. The client smiled. I understand. After the meeting ended, Elena stopped me outside. You did well. Thank you. She looked at me. You know what I liked most? What? You didn't try to impress anyone. I smiled. I never really learned how. That's exactly why I trust you. That night, I received a message from Elena. Can I ask you something? I replied. Sure. A minute later. What makes you happy? I stared at the screen. It was such a simple question, but nobody had asked me that in years. I typed, I don't know. She replied almost immediately. That's a sad answer. I smiled. Maybe I need a better one. Another message appeared. Then let me help you find it. I froze. Because that was Elena. Not saying ill. Fix your life. Not saying you need me. Just let me be there. A few days later, Elena did something completely unexpected. She showed up at my apartment again. But this time she wasn't holding dinner. She was holding 2 movie tickets. I opened the door and stared. Elena. She looked slightly uncomfortable. I need your opinion about what these. She held up the tickets. I blinked. You bought movie tickets? Yes. For us. Yes. I couldn't help smiling. The woman who runs a $1 billion company is asking me to watch a movie. She looked serious. Yes. Why? She looked at me. Because everyone thinks I have everything. A pause. But I realized I don't have someone to do ordinary things with. That answer caught me. Because Elena wasn't trying to impress me. She wasn't trying to prove anything. She just wanted normal moments with me. The movie itself wasn't important. Neither was the restaurant afterward. What mattered was watching Elena slowly become someone different. She laughed. She made jokes. She complained about the movie ending. The same woman who terrified executives was arguing with me about a fictional character's decision. And I realized something. The world saw Elena Sterling as an ice queen. But I saw the woman underneath. The woman who remembered my birthday. The woman who brought me dinner. The woman who asked what made me happy. When she dropped me off, she didn't immediately leave. She looked at me. Liam. Yeah. I know this is complicated. I nodded. It is. But I don't want to pretend I don't care. My heart skipped. Elena continued. I spent years building an empire. She smiled faintly. And somehow the thing I wanted most was someone who would ask if I was okay. I didn't know what to say. So I told the truth. You deserve that. She looked at me. And so do you. That night, after she left, I stood by my door for a long time. Because for the first time since my divorce, I wasn't thinking about what I lost. I was thinking about what I found. But I didn't know yet that Elena Sterling had one more surprise waiting for me. A surprise that would happen late at night. A knock on my door. And a sentence I would never forget. I brought your favorite cake. I thought I understood Elena Sterling. I thought I understood the way she cared. The small messages. The quiet check-ins. The way she remembered things I didn't even realize I had mentioned. But I was wrong. Because Elena Sterling, the woman who could negotiate billion-dollar deals without blinking, was about to do something that completely surprised me. She was going to show up at my door at midnight. A few days before that night, things between us became more complicated. Not because we were fighting, because we were getting closer. And getting closer meant I had to face something I had been avoiding. I was starting to fall for her. I hated admitting that. Not because Elena wasn't amazing. She was. That was exactly the problem. She was everything I had once hoped to find. Someone who listened. Someone who noticed. Someone who didn't make me feel like I was lucky just to be there. But my past kept reminding me to be careful. One failed marriage was enough. I didn't want to become someone who trusted too quickly. One afternoon, Elena and I were reviewing a project when she suddenly asked, Liam. I looked up. Yes. If I wasn't your CEO, would you still talk to me? The question caught me completely off guard. What? She looked serious. If we met somewhere else. She paused. If I was just Elena. I stared at her. The most powerful woman in the company was asking me if I would notice her without her title. I smiled. Yes. Her eyes softened. Why? Because you're still you. That's not a real answer. It is. I leaned back. You think people only see you because of your position? She didn't respond. But I saw you before I knew anything about your company. When the first week I worked here, she looked surprised. You mean when I criticized your report? I laughed. Yes. That was not exactly my best moment. No. I smiled. But it was honest. Elena looked at me. And you? Like that? I did. She was quiet. Then she whispered. Nobody has ever said that before. That night, I received a call from Mia. I almost ignored it. But something made me answer. Hello, Liam. Her voice sounded different. Not confident like before. Not distant. Just uncertain. What happened? Nothing. Then, why are you calling? A long silence. Finally, she said, I saw you at the company event. I didn't say anything. You looked happy. I looked at the clock. Okay. I thought I would feel angry. Why? Because you moved on. I stayed silent. Mia sighed. But I didn't. That surprised me. Mia. I know. She interrupted. I know I was the one who left. Her voice became quieter. But I didn't realize what I was losing. I closed my eyes. There was a time when hearing those words would have changed everything. A time when I wanted her to regret leaving. But now, I just felt tired. I hope you find what you're looking for. She was silent. Is that it? What else should there be? Liam? I spoke calmly. I spent a long time hoping you would choose me. A pause. But someone else already did. I ended the call. Not because I hated her. Because I finally stopped waiting. The next week was one of the most stressful periods at Bennett Technologies. A major contract was approaching. Everyone was exhausted. Elena was working even harder than usual. I noticed. Of course, I noticed. That was what I did. I noticed things. Elena. She looked up from her laptop. What? You haven't eaten all day. Fine. You always say that. She raised an eyebrow. And usually it means you're not for a second. She looked like she wanted to argue. Then she closed her laptop. You sound like me. I smiled. That's concerning. She actually laughed. You're impossible. People usually say that about you. I know. She looked at me. I think I like that someone finally says it to me. The night of the contract deadline. I left the office around 11 p.m. I expected Elena to still be there. She was. Of course. She was. I stopped at her office door. You're going home? She looked up. That wasn't a question. No. She smiled. You're giving orders. Now. Only to people who refuse to take care of themselves. She shook her head. You're lucky you're the only person who talks to me like this. I smiled. Lucky? Yes. Why? Because I let you. I laughed. But then her expression softened. Liam. Yeah. Thank you for what? For caring. That answer was so quiet I almost missed it. I nodded. Good night. Elena. Good night. Liam. I left. I thought that was the end of the night. I was wrong. At exactly 12:17 a.m., someone knocked on my door. I was confused. Nobody visited me that late. I walked over and checked. Then I froze. Elena Sterling was standing outside, not wearing her CEO expression, not looking like the woman who controlled an empire. Just Elena, holding a small cake box. I opened the door. Elena. She looked slightly embarrassed. That alone shocked me, because I had never seen Elena Sterling nervous. I know it's late. Yes. And I know this is unexpected. Very. She looked at the cake, then back at me. I wanted to bring this. I stared. Cake. She nodded. Your favorite. My heart stopped for a second. How do you know that? Elena looked away. You mentioned it once. Once? Yes. When? 3 months ago. I couldn't believe it. You remembered something I said 3 months ago. She looked at me. Liam. Her voice became softer. I remember everything you tell me. That sentence hit me harder than she Knew because my entire marriage had been built around forgetting. And here was Elena standing at my door after midnight, holding a cake because she remembered a tiny detail about me. She handed it to me. I know birthdays are complicated for you now. I didn't speak, but I wanted you to have one good memory. I looked at her. Elena. She smiled slightly. I know. I'm not good at this. At what this? She gestured between us. Feelings. I smiled. That's surprising. She rolled her eyes. I can negotiate with investors. I can handle angry board members. A pause. But I don't know how to tell someone I'm afraid of losing them. I stopped smiling, because that was the first time Elena admitted something so personal. Elena. She looked at me. I don't want to pressure you. Her voice was quiet. I just wanted you to know. She took a breath. I'm here for a moment. Neither of us moved. Then I said, thank you. She smiled. No one has ever made me feel like I could just show up. I looked at her. Then maybe you found the right person. Her eyes met mine. And for the first time, the Ice Queen looked completely vulnerable. Not because she was weak, because she trusted me enough to stop pretending she wasn't. That night, I didn't just receive a cake. I received something much more valuable. The feeling that someone finally chose me. And Elena Sterling had no idea that, after that night, I would never look at her the same way again. After that night, something changed between Elena and me. Not because she confessed her feelings, not because we suddenly became a couple. It was something more meaningful. Trust. For the first time in years, I stopped feeling like I had to prove my worth to someone. I stopped wondering if I was enough because Elena made me feel like I already was. But with happiness came a new challenge. Not everyone was ready to accept it, especially people who only understood the world through status and power. The rumors started at the company. They were quiet at first. A few conversations stopped when I walked into the room. A few people looked at me differently. I knew how offices worked. People talked, especially when a regular employee suddenly became someone the CEO personally trusted. One afternoon, I walked into a meeting room and heard two executives talking. Do you really think Liam got that position because of his ability? The other person lowered his voice. Come on. You know how these things work. I stopped outside the door. For a moment, I felt that old feeling return. The feeling of being underestimated. The feeling of having to prove myself. But this time, something was different. I didn't feel defeated, because I knew the truth. I had earned my place. And more importantly, Elena knew. Later that day, Elena called me into her office. She closed the door. Sit down. I did. She looked serious. What happened? I frowned. Nothing. Liam. She said my name in a way that told me she already knew. I sighed. People are talking. About what? I hesitated. About us. Elena's expression didn't change. Good. I blinked. Good. Yes. That's not the reaction I expected. She leaned back. Why should I care about people who judge without knowing the truth? Because they're questioning your decisions. No. Her answer was immediate. They're questioning yours. That surprised me. Elena looked at me and that bothers me. Why? Because you still think you have to earn the right to be respected. I didn't answer. Because she was right. Elena stood up. Liam, do you know why I chose you for Project Atlas? Because I was good at solving problems. No. She walked closer. Because you were the only person in that room who cared about doing the right thing more than looking important. I looked at her. That matters. She paused. And I refused to let anyone make you forget that. The next morning, The entire executive team gathered for a major company announcement. I expected a normal presentation. I was wrong. Elena walked onto the stage. The room became silent. She looked at everyone. Before we begin today's meeting, I want to address something. I immediately knew. My heart tightened. Elena continued. Recently, there have been discussions about my decision to place Liam Anderson in a leadership role. Everyone became quiet. I stood near the back of the room. Elena looked directly at me. Then she spoke. Some people believe his position exists because of his relationship with me. The room went still. I felt uncomfortable. But Elena didn't stop. So, let me make something clear. Her voice became stronger. Liam Anderson earned every opportunity he received. She looked around. He was the person who found the flaw in our biggest project. He was the person who protected this company when others were protecting themselves. And he was the person who reminded me that leadership isn't about standing above people. A pause. It's about knowing who deserves to stand beside you. Nobody spoke. Elena continued. I did not choose Liam because I needed someone. She looked at me. I chose him because I respect him. That sentence hit me. Because Elena Sterling didn't give compliments easily. But when she did, she meant every word. After the meeting, I found her outside. Elena. She turned. Yes. You didn't have to do that. I know. Then why? She looked at me like the answer was obvious. Because someone should have done it for you a long time ago. I froze. What? She looked away. Someone should have stood up and told you that you matter. For a moment, I couldn't speak because she wasn't talking about the company. She was talking about my entire life. That evening, something unexpected happened. Mia called again. This time I answered. Liam. Hey. There was a pause. I saw the announcement. I knew exactly what she meant. Okay. She really cares about you. I didn't respond. Mia sighed. I used to think you were just safe. I frowned. Safe? Yes. Her voice sounded full of regret. I thought, because you always stayed, you would always be there. I looked out the window. And now I realize I confused kindness with weakness. That was probably the closest Mia had ever come to admitting the truth. But I no longer needed her apology. I hope you're happy, Liam. I smiled slightly. I think I am. Is it because of her? I thought about Elena. The midnight cake. The way she remembered small things. The way she defended me. No. Mia was quiet. It's because I finally learned I deserve to be. A few days later, Elena and I were walking after work. For once, she wasn't talking about business. Neither was I. Then she suddenly stopped. Liam. What? She looked nervous again. The same woman who could negotiate with billionaires looked nervous. I have something to ask. I smiled. That sounds serious. It is. She took a breath. I know everyone thinks I'm the person who is everything. I listened. But the truth is, she looked at me. I don't want another achievement. I don't want another award. I don't want another company milestone. She stepped closer. I want someone who comes home and asks me how my day was. My heart moved. Elena continued. And I want to be that person for someone else. A silence passed. Then she said, Liam, I don't know if you're ready. She smiled softly. But I want to wait. That was Elena Sterling, the woman who could have demanded anything. Instead, she chose patience. She chose understanding. And in that moment, I realized something. My ex-wife left because she stopped seeing my value. But Elena built an entire world and still chose to make room for me inside it. And the best part, she wasn't choosing me because she needed a husband. She was choosing me because for the first time, she wanted someone exactly like me. I used to believe losing someone meant losing everything. When Mia handed me those divorce papers on my birthday, I thought my life was falling apart. I thought I had failed. I thought maybe I wasn't interesting enough, successful enough, or important enough to be chosen. But I was wrong. The truth was much simpler. I had spent years trying to be everything for someone who had already stopped looking at me. And then Elena Sterling walked into my life, not as someone who needed saving, not as someone looking for someone to complete her. She came into my life as the one person who finally saw me clearly. A few weeks after Elena told me how she felt, I still had doubts. Not about her, about myself. One evening, we were sitting together after work. Elena was reviewing some documents while I watched her. It was strange. The entire world saw her as untouchable, but I knew the truth. She was the woman who secretly searched for my favorite cake, the woman who remembered things I forgot I said, the woman who could stand in front of an entire company without fear, but still worried about whether I was comfortable. Elena. She looked up. Yes. Why me? She frowned slightly. What do you mean? You could have anyone. She closed the folder. Liam. I'm serious. So am I. She looked at me. You think I chose you because I couldn't find someone else? I didn't answer. Elena shook her head. That's not how this works then. How does it work? She leaned closer. I chose you because when everyone else saw my title, you saw me. I stayed quiet. She continued. You were never impressed by my money. A small smile appeared on her face. You actually argued with me during meetings. I laughed. That's because you were wrong sometimes. She raised an eyebrow. Sometimes. Okay. More than sometimes. For a second. She looked offended. Then she smiled. And that smile still felt like something I had earned. Not bought. Not forced. Earned. The biggest change wasn't that Elena became softer. It was that she stopped pretending she didn't need anyone. Before she handled everything alone. If she was tired, she worked harder. If she was hurt, she stayed silent. If she was afraid, she hid it. But now, she let me in. One night, after a difficult board meeting, she called me. I immediately knew something was wrong. Elena, are you busy? No, a pause. Then she said, can I see you? Those words surprised me. Because Elena Bennett didn't ask for help. She offered solutions. She solved problems. But that night, she didn't need a solution. She needed me. When I arrived, she was sitting quietly. No laptop. No documents. No CEO mask. Just Elena. What happened? She looked at me. I won the meeting. I smiled. Then why do you look upset? She laughed softly. Because winning is lonely sometimes. That sentence broke something inside me. Because I understood. Everyone celebrated her success. But nobody asked if she was tired. I sat beside her. You don't have to be strong with me. She looked at me. You really mean that? Yes. A few seconds passed. Then Elena rested her head against my shoulder. The woman everyone feared was trusting me with her weakness. And I realized this was the real Elena Sterling. Not the CEO. Not the billionaire. Just the woman I cared about. Months passed. My life looked completely different. Not because I became someone else. Because I finally stopped believing I wasn't enough. I became a senior strategist at Bennett Technologies. My work was recognized. My ideas were respected. But the best part wasn't the career. It was coming home and knowing someone was happy to see me. Then came the day Elena surprised me. Again. It was a company anniversary celebration. Everyone was there. Executives, employees, investors. I expected Elena to give a normal speech. Instead, she called my name. Liam Carter. I looked up. The entire room turned. I walked toward the stage, confused. Elena handed me the microphone. I have worked with many talented people. She looked at everyone. But talent is not the rarest thing. The room was silent. Integrity is. She looked at me. Liam is the person who reminds me why this company exists. I shook my head slightly. Elena Iyer. But she continued. I know people once questioned why I trusted him. A small smile appeared. Now I think the better question is why I didn't find him sooner. Everyone laughed. But I felt something different. I felt proud. Not because the CEO praised me, because the woman I loved was proud of me. After the event ended, we stood outside the city. Lights surrounded us. But I wasn't thinking about the city. I was thinking about how different my life had become. Elena looked at me. You're quiet. Thinking about what? I smiled. My birthday. She looked confused. The one when everything ended. I nodded. I thought that was the worst day of my life. Elena reached for my hand. And now I looked at her. Now I think it was the day my life finally changed. Her fingers tightened around mine. Liam. Yes. I have one more thing to ask. I smiled. What is it? She took a breath. The same woman who had negotiated billion-dollar deals looked nervous. Again. I spent my whole life building things. She looked at me. But I don't want to build a life without you. My heartbeat stopped. Elena smiled. So she squeezed my hand. Will you let me choose you every day? I laughed softly. That's your proposal? She looked offended. You don't like it? No. I stepped closer. I love it. Her expression softened and I smiled. And yes, looking back, I used to think my story was about losing a marriage. It wasn't. It was about finding myself after someone stopped choosing me. Mia left because she thought she could find something better. Elena stayed because she knew exactly what she had. One woman saw me as someone replaceable. The other saw me as someone irreplaceable. And the greatest surprise of my life wasn't that an ice cold co fell in love with me. It was realizing that the woman everyone feared was the person who made me feel the safest. On my birthday, I received divorce papers. But months later, I received something much better. A promise, a future, and a love from the one person who never forgot me. Elena Bennett. The woman who knocked on my door at midnight with my favorite cake. The woman who didn't save me. She reminded me I was worth choosing all along. That's all for today. Remember to subscribe and support us.